Hi everybody, if you are watching this particular video right now, it means that you are in week number 3, and today we will be covering culture and communication series number 1. Okay, let's go together. Okay, what is culture? Culture is a learned patterns of behavior and attitudes shared by a group of people. The group of people who share the same behavior like you would be a culture. Okay, so for example, it can be in many different contexts. When we talk about culture, it's not restricted to a racial context only. So, for example, culture is a Malay culture, it's a Chinese culture, it's an Indian culture. No, it can be in many different terms. For example, if you work with someone and you have a colleague, you share the same uh, workplace culture. Yeah. So let's take a look of the examples right here in the slides, whereby the first one, men and women do not see the world in the same way, whereby we think differently. So for example, men, if they want to solve a particular issue, they will think only how to solve it, and they won't like think many different things of that particular issue, whereas women will think 7 different ways of solving the issue. What is the repercussion of if we do such? What's the implication? What will happen to our family and things like that? Women are much more, their culture would be much more expressive and much more feminine in terms of seeing the world. And the second one will be older and younger generation have different goals and dreams. This would be an age context culture, whereby elderly people, their dream would be to see their children having kids, and they will have many grandchildren to actually play with. Minus a younger generation, their dream, if they are in their 20s, their dream is to have a good career, to get lots of money, and to be stable and successful. And the third one is in a context of religion, whereby we have Muslim have different beliefs, Christian have their different beliefs. So if you are in this two different communities, you share, you if you're Muslim, you will share the same people belief what Muslim practices, and Christians the same way as well. So how we think about culture frames our ideas and perception as well, and that is so true. Where we go through the next one, which is elements of culture. Okay, so the first one will be values and beliefs. So values are culture standard for discerning what is good and just in society. Values are deeply embedded and critical for transmitting and teaching a culture's belief. Okay, let's talk about the American dream later on as an example. I want to give you an example of for example, values would be faith, having faith. Belief would be having faith in God. So belief is much more concrete. Values is the things that you practice. So belief would be what are you practicing. Okay, so it's interrelated. So we go to the next one, which is values portray ideal culture, the standard society which would like to embrace and live up to. So when we talk about values, it portrays an ideal culture that this particular culture should be in particular way. Our culture, for example, if we being Muslims and any other religions for a matter of fact, we need to be nice to people, we need to be respectful, we could not steal and things like that. So that's a portray of an ideal culture. So good values. But when we talk about in reality, is the way society actually is, okay, based on what occurs in and exists. Okay, so real culture will be, there'll be culture, it's a common thing that People also steal for food because they are not, they are not capable to put food on the table for their family. There'll be different sorts of negative values as well, because we live in a real world. So when we talk about an ideal culture, there will be no traffic accidents, murders, poverty, or racial tension. So it's an ideal culture. So we live in a real world. So we practice real culture. Okay. And with that, when we talk about values, people sanction, people judge certain behaviors by giving support, approval, or permission, or by instilling formal actions of disapproval and non-support. So, for example, you are in a Malay community, in a Malay culture, it is very, very crucial for you to actually, shake an elderly's hand with two hands and bow down. If you, it's your option whether you want to kiss their hands or not, or you can just bow to show respect to that particular individual. Okay, so when you do that, people approve you. They'll be like, "Oh, you're such a good person. You're such a good person. You're practicing the Malay values." But if another person who is also Malay, who knows that particular culture but doesn't do that, people be like, "Oh, you're such a modern Malay. You don't, shake people's elderly's hand and things like that." So it depends, on various contexts. Culture can be so many contexts, and it's up to an individual's upbringing, how they see things and how they react into a certain situation. Okay, we go to the next one, which is norms. Norms is how to behave in accordance with what a society has defined a good, right, and important, and most members of the society adhere to them. Okay, we have two types of norms, which is formal norms are established written rules. They are behaviors worked out and agreed upon in order to suit and serve the most people. And we have informal norms, which is casual behaviors generally and widely conform to its longer. People learn informal norms by observation, okay, imitation, and general socialization. Okay, so when we talk about norms, okay, let's go to the American culture, whereby it's a norm, okay, it's normal to see people making out, or in railway stations, or in bus stops and so forth. It's a norm, whereby it's an informal norm, whereby when you observe a certain culture doing that, you follow through, and yeah, it's okay. And formal norm would be established written rules. So, for example, uh, red light, okay, red light is to stop your car. Don't move. Okay, if you move your car, you're gonna crash someone. So that's formal norms. Okay, it's a right thing to do. So it's an example of that. It can be anything. Okay, and the third one, okay, sorry. Getting back into norms again, which is norms can be classified into mores or fault-based. Okay, mores are norms that embody the moral values and principle of a group. Violating them can have serious consequences, like hitting a red light will be mores. Okay, fault-based are norms without any moral underpinnings. Rather, fault-based direct inappropriate behavior in the day to-do practices and expression of a culture. So, for example, if you roll your eyes when you talk to your mom in terms of a culture in your family, and that's not good. So it's something, a norm that you do, which if it's even though it's negative, you don't have any repercussions towards that. You are not going to be sued and so forth. Okay, we go to the next one, elements of culture, which is symbols and language. Symbols will be gestures, sign, objects, signals and words help people understand the world. So it's a universal thing when you do this particular symbol. It's okay, but in a different culture, it would be I kill you. So I'm gonna look up for you. It has been such a long time when it's a thing in another culture whereby this means I kill you. So I'm gonna look that up for you and tell you which culture is that. Okay, or you look it up for me and you share it on our Facebook group. Okay, and the second one would be language. Language is a symbolic system through which people communicate and through which culture is transmitted. For example, if you go to Japan, everybody's talking in Japanese, and that's a culture there. And speaking English in Japan is quite difficult because everybody's speaking in Japanese. So you have to adapt to their culture to learn their language, basic language, to survive there, even though even though you are on a holiday. Okay, and we go to the next one, which is characteristics of culture. Characteristics of culture is learned. Okay, it's learned. It is being transmitted from one member of society to another, whereby an individual grows in a particular environment. He learns about different aspects of culture. So it is learned between your family members, for example. It's interrelated. Culture is interrelated because it is learned from the family, educational institution. They reinforce the same values that your family teaches, or your teachers emphasize on what your family teaches to you, things like that. And third one, culture is adaptive. It's a learned behavior. We can learn a culture. Okay, so it's so easy. As any businessman stays in a particular region and country, he or she should absorb himself in the culture, because you want to thrive your business to be really really successful. The fourth one will be adaptive. Okay, fifth one will be shared. Okay, a bunch of individual shares every culture, so it's not only your culture, share it with the same other people as well, who have the same beliefs and values like you do. Okay, it's also a symbol whereby by observing the pattern of the culture, people can understand the region or country from which they come. So a symbol, for example, if I'm dark skinned and I'm from Malaysia, and I look like, you can actually tell, oh, she's Malay. Okay, so yeah, it's a symbol of color as well, the culture. Okay, seventh will be culture is dynamic. No culture is static. It is as the environment is changing, culture has to be changed in order to survive. The eighth one will be culture changes. Culture is never stagnant. It's always moving. With passing time, some beliefs, tradition, and language and mannerism are changed. So, for example, in the 80s, it's a culture for you to write to another friend that you have in another country and call them pen pal, right? But now you can actually Facebook them, and it's so easy. So it changes. Okay, and culture takes years to create. It's true that we have a tendency to influence on all cultures, but it's not a group of rules created by one or lots of books and originally followed by all generations. So it takes time to create a culture. Okay, and culture cannot be isolated, whereby studies have brought out the very fact that no culture will stay in isolation. Everywhere you go, everywhere you see things, it's a part of a culture that what it's either an individual practice or a group of individual practices. Okay, number 11 will be religion is important. Okay, religion is important and part of society, and 12th one way culture is transmitted across generation, whereby from one generation to another you practice the same culture. So what I have here is an extension of the characteristics of culture, extension points. So please note that. Okay, and with that, we go to the third subpoint of culture and communication. Number one would be deep structures of culture, roots of reality. So when we talk about roots, okay, uh, we let's see the picture together. Yeah, we see an incredible system of roots scaling a wall as a child runs past a group of elderly people. So when we talk about culture, it goes back to our roots. Where did we learn our culture from? Okay, so we go here. Okay, when we talk about what motivates people before we go into deep roots of culture. Okay, some motivate people, love motivates people, clinging to youth, worship the earth, seeking material things. Sometimes others find being alone brings despondency, embrace old age and death, believe things hinder peaceful life, value talk. So sometimes what actually motivates you as a person and as you live in your society, as you practice your culture, what motivates you to actually live day by day? So let's think about that and then share it with me in Facebook. Okay, and we go to the next one, which is deep structure. So what is deep structure? Roots of reality. So deep structure is the source of or influence behind how a culture views the world. So deep structure unifies a culture, makes each culture unique, and explains how and why behind a culture's collective action. So why this particular culture behave as such? Okay, so we go to the next one. So there are three social institutions that works together, okay, to define, create, transmit, and reinforce the basic elements of every culture. The first one will be family. The second one will be state, whether it's a community, the government, or history. The third one would be religion or worldview. Okay, when we talk about deep structure carries culture's most important beliefs. Okay, you know your culture with your family first, then you expand it outside from your comfort zone. Okay, the institution of family, state, and religion tells you how you fit into the grand scheme of things, whether you should believe in fate or the power of free choice, why there is suffering, what to expect from life, where your loyalties should rise, and how to and even how to prepare for death. Okay, so deep structure is enduring as well. It helps to preserve the culture. Okay, and we go to deep structure is deeply felt, whereby love of family, God, and country most important values to most people. So you feel angry when people actually burn your country's flag. You know, what do you think Muslims feel when they see the Quran burned? So it is being felt because you treasure what you believe in. So if people destroy that image for you, you feel a sense of belonging. Hey, I should be angry because my culture is being treated as such. So it's such a normal thing to actually react towards that because we belong in a particular society. So when people say I don't belong nowhere or I belong to no one, so when an individual says to you like that, or you feel like that, please trust me that you don't. You belong to someone. You belong in this class with me. Watching my video lecture to learn about culture. So, just like you're watching throughout my videos, we will have one semester together. It's a culture that we do as a class, whereby 7 weeks we watch video lectures, and now 7 weeks most probably we will be seeing each other. So it's a culture that we share. We should be kind, uh we should be, we should have togetherness, and we have to create ideas. We have positive energy, a culture in the class as well. So yeah, so it is deeply felt. So if someone says something about, if you know me well, or you like me, or people saying something like, oh, that honey's girl, who the hell she thinks she is, uh is she even right to actually teach intercultural communication? So you being in my class would be like, so that's a culture. It's a deep structure whereby you are in the culture itself, and when people, touches that thing that you are in, you be like, intimidated and things like that. To you to react upon when people say things like that. Yeah, an example. Okay, not saying that it's true. Okay, not saying that it's true that you like me or my class, but hopefully you do. Okay, coming back. Okay, deep structure supplies identity, whereby we learn our identities through socialization. We learn ourselves through socialization as well. Okay, multiple identities which may compete or reinforce each other. So for example, cultural, educational, for example, we have so many identities. Okay, so if we go to college, we have one particular identity, which is we and our friends, and how you communicate your identity with your lecturer. But with your family, you are another different person. You wear different hats. Yeah, and with that, with culture, you have a sense of community and belonging. Okay, and when we talk about family, which is a deep, one particular major factor of a deep structure of culture. Okay, so let me know if these phrases are true. For example, Chinese saying, if you know the family, don't not need to know the individual. What does that mean? Can you share it with me? The second one would be the apple does not fall far from the tree. The third one, family is the oldest and most fundamental of all human institutions, which is true. Government rise and fall, but families survive, and that's definitely true. Okay, so tell me if you know the meaning on the first phrase. Okay, and we go to the next one, which is the importance of family. Family prepares its members for the various roles they will perform in society. It is a family that teaches you culture and provides you with the foundation of your self concept. Your mom and your dad will be the basic, the very strong foundation of who you are, and who teaches you your culture. Yeah, so am I right? Share with me in Facebook group. Okay, we have two types of family. If we go back to the basics, nuclear and extended. Okay, nuclear would be parent and children, extended would be grandparents and relatives. Okay, and we have functions of family to import important cultural values. Okay, transmit identity. Families transmit communication proficiency as well. Okay, so I want to share with you, I come from very close knit family whereby we share almost everything together, to our deeper secrets, our almost achy secrets as well. So it's particularly annoying when if we fight, one of us might take that particular issue and make it as a really big issue, and not to annoy each other. But some families are not that close, whereby you do your own things, you only meet on occasional dinners and then say hi and bye. So it depends on how you are being brought up, how your parents actually brought you up. So nothing is wrong, just that everybody has different interpretation of what their family is. Okay, and we go to the next one, which is, okay, culture is a major determining of the path we take as well. how, how what kind of path we take. So for example, a child in India who lives with many people in one house learns about extended families. A Mexican child who is raised in a home with many elderly people learns about the treatment of elderly. So it depends on what kind of environment that you live in as well, determines who you are, what your culture is, and how you perceive other people's culture. And the next one would be gender roles. Okay, gender roles. This is a sideline of a topic. Okay, so whereby gender roles, how they learn. Okay, and then I'm gonna go and skip that one. In India is different. Okay, in Arab culture, males is a preferred gender. When we talk about women, women would be serving men. Okay, in Arab. Okay, but rules are changing in the USA, whereby in early 1960s, most girls were raised to be wives and stay-at-home mothers. Today, women are frontliners. Okay, members of the Supreme Court, part of the police SWAT team, and wartime army truck driver, and so forth. Women are much more dominant nowadays. And the last but not least would be um, a little bit on the sideline, which is individual versus collectivism. Most culture are a mixture of these elements, whereby individuals values individual over the group, collectivism more group, individual is perceived as a standalone entity, collectivism more to the group, individual self-motivated, collectivism more on taken in groups on a more public basis. So what I want, and that would be the end of this particular video lecture. Yay! And what I want to reinforce and recap back for this particular video lecture is that culture is a learned pattern of behaviors shared by a group of people. We have elements of culture whereby we have values and beliefs. We have what more? Okay, we have what? We have norms. Go and check what is elements of culture. That's very, very important. We have characteristics of culture. Again, that is important as well. And the fifth one would be deep root structure of reality of culture, whereby we learn our culture and ourselves from three factors, three institutions, whereby first our family, okay, second would be community, our community, the third one would be our religion or worldview. Okay, so thank you so much for watching. I hope more or less you understand this particular video lecture. And as usual, if you have any questions, please ask me in the Facebook group or text me as soon as you watch this particular video lecture. There is an extra video from YouTube for you to watch and to get a better understanding of what culture and communication is. So I hope it helps you that. And don't forget, y'all, to actually do the tutorial under the video lecture for this particular week number 3. And don't forget to start on your pairing assignment, which is the unknown culture report. It is due on 29th May, and please start working now. Okay, thank you very much, people. I'll be seeing you in the next video lecture. Bye bye and have a good day.